And do you find it hard to relinquish control?
No, I don't. No, it's not. I'm not a control freak at all.
Judging by your holiday snaps, definitely
not. No, I'm not at all.
Right.
So, but the question that isn't in there, that should be in there, is because you want to be. Yes, that would be the yes answer. Are you saying because you want to be? Yes. Thank you.
Moving on. Here's another chance to get your hands on £3,000 today. Wouldn't that be a treat at the top of the week? Just have a go at answering this question correctly. Complete the following famous phrase. Shop till you A. Drop, B. Stop, or C. Flop. Call 09012 931 941. That's 09012 931 941. Calls cost £1 from BT landlines. Calls from mobiles and other networks may be higher. Text WIN plus your answer, A, B or C, to 63337. Text cost £1 plus one standard network rate reply message. Digital satellite viewers can enter by pressing their red button now, and you can also enter for free at itv.com/loosewomen. Entrance must be 18 or over, and all lines close at 1:20. Get dialing or texting. Check the Loose Women website next week for the correct answer and the name of today's winner. OK, it's been the story that's dominating the papers. The disturbing meltdown of Britney Spears continues. The troubled star was forcibly removed from her home last week after a dispute over the custody of her children. She was put on suicide watch by authorities and then released this weekend from hospital after only 36 hours. In a disturbing twist, as she left hospital, family support was nowhere to be seen, despite doctors claiming that she really is in dire need of medical and psychological intervention. It's claimed her mother and father simply don't know what to do for her anymore. So, is there a point that you have to let a loved one in distress sort themselves out, or do you never walk away?
Well, I, first of all, would say I'd be highly suspicious of the stories because, you know, we have no idea. I can't stress enough to people that what is put in the press is not the truth.
Absolutely.
And also, the poor girl lives in this goldfish bowl. And the fact that it could be a small incident in a row. She could have had a row. She could have shut herself. Yes, OK, she's been drinking. We all have problems. But there's 100 million people at her gate to pass comment on it. I would hate to think that her mother... that there's some reason why her mother isn't there, because I can't conceive of not being there for my children. On the other hand, you know, you often hear about this thing about tough love, that sometimes you can't go on feeding them, whatever the problem is. They eventually have to wake up and face it themselves. Maybe she needs proper help that loved ones can't give.
I mean, I just think in this instance, because I think her parents were, I wouldn't say, I don't know that they pushed her, I'm sure she wanted to be in the business, but they were instrumental in putting her in that sort of unreal world of show business at such a young age, which has obviously had its impact and put her where she is now. I think they have a responsibility to be there, no matter how foul and vile she might be. But as you say, you don't know the inside story. But you know, does there come a point, do you think, Carol, at which you try and you try and you try? I think she's a bit too young. I don't think she could have tried that many times and failed to have alienated her family. I wouldn't have thought at this point. But if it's years and years and years going on, a turmoil.
I do actually believe that some people are beyond help. And, you know, I know people who've done everything they can for certain others, and nothing's changed. And I do think that, I don't believe that Britney's beyond help, not yet anyway, but I know people who have done so much for some people, and the thing is, they have changed now, but they haven't changed until they've actually decided themselves to change. Because, like Linda says, if you keep helping people who can't be helped, all you're doing is you're helping them to destroy themselves. And it is the tough love thing. You do have to sometimes turn around and walk away, so that they themselves can actually wake up one day and just go, that's it, rock bottom, I want to help myself. And then you are still there, so you're not abandoning them completely. It's just that if they do decide to do it themselves, and they have to, they can come back and you'll go, yeah, OK, I'll help you now.
And I think there's a difference between walking away from people with addictions and walking away from people with depression, and we don't know that she's clinically depressed. We haven't been told that yet. But I think that... And I quote Gordon Ramsay because he has publicly talked about this. I remember him saying that his brother is a heroin addict and has been for years. And Gordon Ramsay said, you know, that the press were persecuting him because he kind of turned his back on him. And he said, I haven't. He said, for years and years and years, I've spent millions, you know, or well, certainly a lot of money helping him. He said, I've been there for him. He's not helping himself. And I've had to say, no, I cannot help you anymore. You've got to face up to the fact that you are an addict. And he said, he said, nobody could love my brother more than I do. In my situation was when I had Matthew, which is nearly 19 years ago now, and I had severe postnatal illness. And I mean, and I've said before, if it wasn't for my family accepting that it was an illness and that it wasn't an indulgence, I know for a fact that I would not have been here now.
I was going to say, I think the fact people
it's
sticking with you is the difference.
It's that thing of clinical depression. It's not just being down in the dumps. It's not just because your boyfriend's left you. Not that I'm taking away the trauma that you can go through, but it's the fact that it is an illness. And I remember when it was very prevalent with me, and I mean, it's gone on for years, but it was so bad for the first year. And Tim said that he met up with people who'd allowed their wives to have, or partners, to have a month of it. You know, they were allowed to be depressed for a month, but then it was a case of pick yourself up, pull yourself together, snap out of it, go and buy a new dress. And you think, if I could go and buy a new dress, why do you think I would be sitting like a woman in a dressing gown? I just wanted someone to give me an injection to make everything go away. I mean, it was that traumatic.
And
luckily, my parents
you
were
were
there for
ill.
me.
You were ill, and your family finally, you know, everybody, nobody's
Well,
going to
from
know.
the word go accepted that it was an illness.
I think with people, not just Brittany, but people in, you know, there's been several people in the press, of course, you know, the Amy Winehouses and all these people. Lots of people make mistakes when they're young and go through terrible highs and lows. And I went through a terrible low at one stage, and I have the most fantastic parents in the world, and they were there for me whenever I wanted, but I was going along, trying to make the best of it, because that's also how I've been brought up, you know. But there's a thing, you know, we know this, alcohol and things like that make everything worse. Your judgment is blinded. And I just woke up one day, and I really did. I went out to lunch, drank too much, and didn't think, oh, God, I want to kill myself. I just thought, I wanted to stop. I want to stop feeling unhappy. I am unhappy. I want to go to sleep and never wake up. And I took lots of pills, and unfortunately, I rang a friend who was clever enough to say, leave the door open. I went open the door, and they came and got me, and I went to hospital, and I feel incredibly ashamed about it, because my
Why did you
parents...
ask for help before that, though?
Well, because I was trying to be grown up, and my parents... I was always on the phone to my parents, and there's an element, I suppose, when your family knows you so well. Linda's on the phone again. You know, oh, I'm having a horrible time. Oh, nobody loves me. And
Did anyone say to you, get some help?
No, not really, because actually also my parents of that era, it was very much about if you're a bit fed up or things aren't going well, it's down to you to do it. And I think that's right.
There's a lot of that.
Rather than hand out pills to people.
Well, exactly. That's just what I was going to say.
about proper illnesses.
How do
but,
you
you know.
sort of... Who do you turn to, or how do you pick yourself up when you're low? Have you never really experienced that?
No, I have. I've been really, really low, and especially after my mum died, really, really low. But, you know, I just, sometimes, I've never been as bad as you or you, and I'm sure I haven't, because otherwise I'd tell you.
Mine is an illness, mine isn't reactive,
No, it's an illness. Yeah, exactly. But I think a lot of the time now, what I do is when something goes wrong, and things go wrong for everybody. You know, some people can handle it, some people can't. You know, I have to let it go. I have to work it out and let it happen. You know, and my sister especially, she said after my mum died that she felt silly being miserable all the time. And I said to her, just be miserable. Stop it. Just cry for as long as you need to until you get bored with yourself. And eventually it will go away. You know, I think it took about 3 years to get over my mum dying. But I never fought it, and I never thought, oh, I should be happy now, because I don't believe that.
It's a natural process to grieve.
And I do know a lot of people who... You know, I wouldn't trivialise it as much as to say, oh, they're just having a bad day. But I do know people who have been diagnosed with depression and prescribed happy pills, so-called happy pills, but they're not. They're absolutely not sick. They're not depressed. And I worry about these people who are, you know, it's this over-diagnosis of depression, and doctors are way too happy